Today's assembly program was put together by our school security team. And I think this particular program, similar to the one we did in the fall, provides an opportunity for a very impactful and life lesson, all right, from an individual. And I know it's not easy ever coming to a group to speak to a group as large as this. All right, so I know you're going to give your undivided attention and support to Mr. Wilkinson when he comes up here to speak. But this is an opportunity to give his life lesson to you, which is more impactful than anything we can see or read in the book. All right, I'm going to turn the podium over at this point in time to one of our school security officers, Ms. Dee Nicola, who will introduce Mr. Wilkinson. Ms. Dee Nicola.
Looking at everybody, it's so exciting to see everybody sitting here. Before we begin, I'd just like to thank a few people to recognize some very important people in the audience, other than all of you, which are the most important. Mayor McCormick is with us here today. I'd also like to recognize, to thank Dr. Zager, but I don't think he's here today. In order to put this together, you know how much time and effort it takes to put all of us together in one room, or you may not know how much effort. I'd like to just truly thank Mr. Case for allowing this today. I'm ready to choke up, and I don't mean to, but it's so important. Being the anti-bullying specialist in the building, I get to sit with each one of you personally when there's a situation that occurs. You know who you are, I know who you are. But because it's such a personal issue, we cannot bring you up here today. So we have chosen, and we have been honored to have Anthony Wilkinson with us today. Before I begin, I'd just like to share a little bit. The safety team is part of the anti-bullying law to change the culture of the school. And if today we're changing the culture of the school, absolutely, positively, we are. We are all sitting together. We all have our differences. We're all different nationalities, all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes. We think differently, we act differently, but there's one thing that is exactly the same. We all look the same inside. We all have a heart, we all have feelings, and we all have emotions. So together today, we're going to, I'd just like to thank the safety team, which consists of, and I have it written so I don't forget anything, Mrs. Murphy, our vice principal. Anthony Wilkinson is behind me waiting. It's very interesting because he's usually the one on stage performing. Today he's not performing. This is from the heart, and he said he's putting his heart out here. Most of you have watched the video. He's asked me to ask this question. How many of you actually did view the video, Anthony Wilkinson, It Gets Better, with a raise of hands, please? All right. For those of you that have seen it, you've heard his story. It was a 13-minute YouTube video. For those of you that haven't, I'm going to review it just quickly for you with my glasses. Okay. What Anthony talks about in his video is this. He was bullied through 8th grade, in 8th grade, all through 8th grade. He doesn't say how long it was, but it was actually over 6 months or longer. He attempted suicide by trying to jump in front of a car. He received help from his mother immediately when it was found out. He received help from the schools, the principal, the vice principal, and he has one lady who he was very thankful to, and really he calls his angel, was Mrs. C. Carinante. He received the highest SAT scores from high school, which was New York High School. He received a scholarship to go to NYU. This is after being bullied through 8th grade. After being homeschooled all through 9th grade, in his video, he talks about getting his life back. And these are the people that helped him get his life back. He wrote and produced My Big Gay Italian Wedding and My Big Gay Italian Funeral, which is on off-Broadway as we speak. So on Saturdays and Sundays, he's performing on stage. Today, this is his true performance. This is his heart, his soul. He is giving back to us. It's been over 20 years since he was bullied. We talk about community service. This is his community service giving back. And say no more, Mr. Anthony Wilkinson.
Very much for having me today. I want to thank the Woodbridge Township District, Principal Pace, Superintendent Dr. Zeta, Andy Nicola, and Lisa Appendato, and all the teachers and students who are here this morning. As Ann said, I do perform every weekend. I've been performing for a long time, and it's something I enjoy. But this is totally out of my comfort zone. If you want me to stand up and act like an idiot and make people laugh, that I can do. Talking to how many people again? Too many. This is hard, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very touched and glad that a lot of you saw the video, because it means I don't have to tell that story again. But I wanted to explain how that video came to pass. It was about 4 years ago when a couple of people came into the theater community and said that there was a huge increase in violence in schools, and the suicide rate had increased tremendously, and a lot of kids were taking their own lives because they didn't know how to escape. And they came to me and they said, you know, it would be great if, as the creator of My Big Gay Italian Wedding, you could tell your story. And I was all for it, but I had a problem with the fact that all these people were doing videos that were going out to the people who were doing the videos. And I said, it's very easy for us to stand in front of a camera and take a video of yourself and then share it on your Facebook. But we were singing to the choir. I'm like, you're going after the wrong people. I said, if I'm gonna tell a story and I'm gonna reach out to somebody, then I wanna reach out to the people in the high schools. I wanna reach out to the bullies themselves and the people who are being bullied. Because I don't need to stand up in front of a camera and have somebody else in another show. I mean, the theater community we've all been through it. So, because I said that, I went back to my high school. And I'm not gonna lie, it brought back some very fond memories, but it brought back some very horrible memories. As most of you know, as what Ann said, in the 8th grade, I was in the, it was just so interesting because I was in such a great place as a kid. I was so happy, and had a lot of friends, did really well in school. And in the blink of an eye, in just the blink of an eye, one day, I went to school, and my whole life changed because I was different. And I mean, back then, looking back, I know that I was gay and it was different. of course, I didn't really know until my high school friends told me later on. They're like, you didn't know. We knew. Helen knew. You know, I really had such a hard time with it. And one day I had these two kids that just pushed me down a flight of steps. And I just can remember it like it was yesterday, standing there in high school, like it just comes back like that. And I completely shut down. I don't know what happened. I can't explain it, the feeling, but your whole body just goes numb. And I went from being a really happy student, good student, to cutting out of school because I was deathly afraid. And every time I would go back to school, they would push me. They would throw me into the street. I would get beat up. And I just couldn't defend myself. Until finally I gave up. I just gave up and I went through a very severe depression. And yes, I tried to take my own life. It's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I talk about ever. But I think it's important that kids know how you can change someone's life so quickly. I was very fortunate. I got to Colonia High School. My psychiatrist and my therapist, because I had parents who were so supportive, where most aren't, I had parents who put me through therapy. And that therapist then went to the school and got me homeschooled. And then those counselors came and said, we're gonna fix this. Most people aren't that fortunate. And I know that I was very, very blessed. And I don't take that for granted. So if I can sit here now and talk to somebody and maybe just get through to one person in this room, that means a lot to me. Because I don't think, and I understand that there are kids who just don't think. You know, we're all different. We've all been brought up differently. I can look in this room right now, I see every race, nationality, male, female, everybody's different. And you know, if you want to sit home and chat with your girlfriends and your friends and talk about and gossip, we all do it. That's all cool and good. But we all have to come to school. Everybody has to come here. Everybody has to go to class. This is the place where it begins. So if you could just learn to tolerate each other, and if you don't like somebody, just leave them alone. That is the best thing you can do for yourself and for everyone around you. I think that, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing anybody, because I'm not. I really am just trying to tell a story so that you can see how important and how quickly life can change. I mean, by a show of hands, how many people here have ever felt like they've been bullied? I mean, don't be embarrassed. Don't be, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. That's good. No, it's important. And you know what? I want to put this out there. I know this is not the forum, and I'm realizing it as I'm saying this. And I said this the last time. What I think is incredible right now is that there are anti-bullying people in the schools that you can talk to. And trust me, I was there, I understand. It is not the easiest thing to step in front of a teacher and say, I'm afraid, I'm scared. There's someone who makes me feel uncomfortable. It's hard, it is very hard, but you have to do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself. And you have to take that moment to do what I did and allow yourself to open up to an advisor. You have Anthony Nicole, you have Vince Sakadada, you have these people in your schools. I did not have these people in my schools until I found them. And now they've created positions because they realize how ridiculous it is. To the bullies out there, you're not cool. You're not. Get over yourself. Seriously. If you have the time and the energy to take someone down, take the time and the energy to pull someone up. Because seriously, karma's a bitch.
last week and you watched the video, and you were asked to come up with 2 questions per class. Mrs. Murphy was good enough to put the questions together and developed a group. Many of the questions were the same, and they were great questions. So I'm going to ask Anthony, and just so you know, I deemed Anthony, I've given him a new name. I call him the voice of hope, because he is hope for all of us, okay? So he's going to... So we're sharing. First question, and again, these are questions from you, the audience. And remember, we are Colonia High School, and we are a family, and we do not allow anybody to hurt us. Okay? Are you, Anthony, are you still angry? And do you hold a grudge toward the people that bullied you?
You know, just telling that story and going back to that place, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am still angry. And I do hold a grudge. I'd like to sit here and say I forgive everybody and Oprah and, you know. I know. No.
Okay. Second, when did you realize that life was going to get better for you?
The turning point for me was my sophomore year. And it was the moment that I started, I felt safe in the school. The freshman year, I was, like Ann said, I was homeschooled. And then what they did was, which was rejection very smart, because I used to have panic attacks and I wasn't able, I was what they call something phobic, agoraphobic, where you can't leave, what is it? Agoraphobic. You can't leave the house because you freak out. So that was what was happening. So I slowly started to take classes in the school, and I would go into the library. And it was the beginning of the sophomore year when I found Ms. Caronante and a couple people in the school and made some really great friends who I still am very close with today. That I felt safe. Actually, I guess I can tell the story, why not? What happened was, I'm trying to have a filter on the US 18. What happened was I met my sophomore year, this girl who, her name was Melissa, she was so much fun. And she was one of the bad kids, I was one of the good kids, you know, and she was cut out of school, but she was a lot of fun. And I told her about the bullies themselves, and she was a senior and I was a sophomore. And at one time I opened up to her and I told her, and she was like, who is it? And I told her the name because he still existed in the school. And she beat him up outside the school. And she pulled me aside and she threw him against the wall. And she said, here, hit him. I said, oh my God. And there was a couple of people actually, they beat him up. So after that, I felt safe.
Bullies, and how can we help bullies understand the effects they have on others?
I said that, but the advice I would give to the bullies is the same thing I said before. Why? You know, enough.
Ready. Looking back, is there anything you could have done in order to either fit in with other groups or surround yourself with other students who you felt comfortable with? Okay.
Yeah. Looking back, I know I made a lot of mistakes. And I think probably during a hard time, if I would have opened up to what was happening and not blocked it and repressed my feelings, I would have made friends and who would have helped me through it. But I think because I was so ashamed and embarrassed that I couldn't defend myself because I felt, in plain English, like a wuss, I held back. So I think if I would have not been as embarrassed by that and opened up to other friends and people that were my own age, it would have helped. So we probably wouldn't have gotten to the place where we
As a witness, how do we distinguish between bullying and joking around? And is the line too fine to dismiss one more than the other?
Well, I don't think the line's too fine to dismiss. I think, I have another story. Another one. So, perfect example, I think at this point now I'm a junior in high school, and I was a junior, and now I'm pretty much healed. I have a great support group, good friends, doing well, and it's passed. So I'm in a good place in my life. And like I said before, this is one of those events in your life that you lock it up in a box and throw it in the king. Until then. But junior year, I remember walking through the halls, and I saw a very heavy-set girl. She had a backpack on and glasses. And there were 3 girls that were following her. And I saw them as I was crossing through the hall. I saw the 3 girls push the girl into the lockers. And they were like, "You fat cow," whatever they called the names. And I just looked, and in a blink, I could just see this girl as the tears started to swell up in her face. And I lost it. I just lost it because I saw myself. And I started flipping out in the middle of the hallway at these girls like a lunatic. I was like, I don't even know what I did, but I think it's just because I just went into that place that you just black out and get your attention, and then the dean came and they got the girls and they're like asking me what happened, and I'm like, these bitches. and it turned out, God knows what I said when I see it. They were reprimanded, and what happened was actually the dean came to me and she said, "Anthony, that was great that you brought that to somebody's attention, because what nobody knew was that girl just lost her mother to cancer." And now how messed up is that, So that's how you differentiate. If you see something like that going on, don't participate in that nonsense. You be the hero. You stand up with that person. Even if you don't know that person, you stand up and you take whoever that is, and you say, "Look, what's up with this? So she eats Twinkies. Who cares?"